All right, y'all, we're back, and today we're going to be testing out the Swashbuckler Rogue in Baldur's Gate 3, and this is for the patch 8 stress test. So this is still technically a beta and not a finished product. This video is just going to be in my impressions. Something I'd like to address or just make up for is the fact that I did an arcane archer for the fighter, and I did not select the right gear for that build, that subclass. Really needed intelligence and also DC gear to help have those arrows, those status effects succeed. So kind of messed up there. Gonna try not to do that again. But yeah, today we're gonna do the swashbuckling rogue, and yar, hopefully rogues get thrown a bone here because they kind of got the short end of the stick. So cross our fingers and let's get into this. All right, so here we are, level 1 rogue. I do want to show you guys this in Act 3, so I'm using withers to respec. If you're in character creator, the only thing that I want to note is the fact that for your skills, make sure you pick up persuasion if you're going to do a rogue swashbuckler, and you'll see why a little bit later on. Ability spread here. I would go with high dexterity, naturally, because that's you're going to be using, that's the type of weapon you're going to be using as far as like finesse. And then charisma. Charisma is also something that plays into being a swashbuckler. Again, you'll see that a little bit later on. So this is kind of the ability spread here. High charisma, high dexterity. I am going to be rocking the amulet that gives you a lot of constitution, so that's why that's so low. So that would be another priority. And obviously wisdom, because there's a lot of wisdom saving throws. Go a little bit into that. But let's go ahead and head to level 2. Level 2, nothing new here. We just get our basically our bonus action moves. This makes rogue really mobile. So always a nice thing to have early on rogue. It's just going pure rogue was always a little bit rough. Anyways, level 3 here, we pick up our subclass. So we're picking up Swashbuckler. So what do we get here? We get fancy footwork. So if you attack a target and then run away, they do not make opportunity attacks on you. So it's kind of like a hit and run style. The next thing we get is Rakish Audacity. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm American. It's going to come up a lot as far as pronunciation. Anyways, you get 1 initiative to bonus to your initiative. So that's nice. That helps out with our basically our turn order naturally. And then the other key to this is the fact that you no longer need advantage to trigger sneak attacks as long as you are within the appropriate range and we don't have disadvantage. So this is really nice for rogues because sneak attack is one of their ways to do a lot of damage. So not having to basically have advantage, and you can't have disadvantage obviously, but just having an easier way to have sneak attacks, really nice. So let's go ahead and move on to level 4. So at level 4, we pick up some new things. We get Dirty Trick, Flick of the Wrist. So this will disarm a target, kind of like the Battle Master Fighter, their maneuvers, except for this only costs a bonus action. There's no resource tied to it. And it's a dexterity saving throw, but it also is going to go off of our dexterity as far as how hard that roll is for them. So as long as we have high dexterity, this is going to be pretty easy to succeed for us, or it's going to make it very hard for them to succeed, I should say. And also there's a little bit more with this. You gain advantage on your next attack. So this is a really handy bonus action to have, especially if you're going to be like a frontline martial character. And I think that's all what we're kind of thinking for a swashbuckling rogue. So being in the front line, get advantage from your bonus action. This is really nice. The other one we get here is Dirty Trick Sand Toss. So think like pocket sand. You basically throw a handful of sand and you can possibly blind the target. And this also has that additional effect of when you use it, you get advantage on your next attack. So obviously the playstyle, you're starting to see it here. You want to use one of these bonus actions first to gain advantage and then hit them with your normal attack, which in most cases will now be your sneak attack. And one more thing about this one, I think this one also is based off of your charisma. If you're higher charisma, they're going to have a harder dice check that they need to make. We're going to double check that in the gameplay section, but in my quick scan of this, and I was just kind of playing with it, I think I noticed that as well. So this, I think, goes off of your charisma. And we also get Dirty Tricks, Vicious Mockery. This is definitely based off your charisma. So this is why having high charisma is a nice thing with this subclass. And again, same thing here, you gain advantage on your next attack. So you're starting to see that you have choices with your bonus action before you do your regular attack, which in this case will always be now a sneak attack. Let's move on feat wise. So we can always keep bumping up our dexterity. But since we're going to be like a rapier, a duelist, we can go with defensive. Oh, hi, baby. Are you making an appearance? We'll go on a walk later. Goodbye. Okay, and before I got distracted here. So yeah, either ability improvement or I would go with defensive duelist. This is just going to add our proficiency bonus to our armor class, which is going to basically help survivability a little bit. I'm going to pick this one up, but I'm also just going to be bumping up my dexterity. I don't really think we need to take alert just because we have natural initiative with Swashbuckler, and obviously our main stat we're using here is dexterity, so I don't think we're going to have a turn order problem. So I'm going to go with the lowest here, and then from there just keep picking up either dexterity or charisma. But level 5 here, we just get uncanny dodge. This is nothing new. I think every rogue gets this, and we can move on to level 6. And at level 6, we get to add more skills. Unfortunately, I can't add anything to persuasion, but like I said at the beginning, if you are making a character fresh and you're going to be going into Swashbuckler, make sure your persuasion is as high as possible. And you'll see why. I think, no, not at level 7. We get evasion here. So this is a normal rogue thing where spells that need a saving throw, and if you succeed the saving throw, you still take half of that spell damage. Evasion here, you won't take any damage, and this is just a rogue thing. And then let's move on to level 8. Level 8, we get another feat. Like I said earlier, we're just going to keep bumping up dexterity. Level 9. Yes, here's where we get what I was mentioning earlier. This is Panic, right? It's like kind of like Panic, but Pan instead. Again, American, sorry. Yeah, it's definitely Panic. Anyways, pronunciation aside. Roll a persuasion check, and then it'll go against their insight check. And if they fail, they have disadvantage. So they will have disadvantage on their attack rolls against all other targets except for the caster, which in this case is us. And additionally, they are unable to do opportunity strikes against anybody other than us as well. So this is almost like a little bit like a taunt skill. So that can be really nice. And then additionally, it says others who fail become charmed. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Is it like a double failure? Enemies who fail gain panic disadvantage. Others who fail become charmed. Not exactly sure. We're gonna have to look at the log and kind of see how that works. But generally speaking, this is a pretty good like little taunt, I would say. But let's move on to level 10. Level 10, we get a feat, and we are going to bump up. Let's just bump up charisma. Let's just keep them even. And then level 11, we get reliable talent. So when you make an ability check with a skill you are proficient with, the lowest you can roll is a 10. This is pretty good, I guess. And then at level 12 here, we get our last feat. I'm just going to go with ability score improvement and then just improve our dexterity. And then let's go to the gameplay section where we'll kind of like break down what this subclass can do. So before we jump into the fight, just kind of take a look at the gear I'm rocking with here. I got Birthright giving our charisma a +2. The Cloak of Displacement, this is just a little bit of survivability. And Hull of Dust Armor, not important, just again for survivability because I'm going in with just 2 characters. The Amulet here, just for more constitution. And then critical hits, Killer Sweetheart. We could probably take this off. I kind of wanted to show this subclass as almost like as base and as raw as possible. We are going with Duelist Prerogative, so this is a pretty good rapier. And we also are going to be rocking 2-hand crossbows. We're not going to use those too much, I don't think. I think the main fantasy with this, again, is in that melee with that rapier and, that duelist fantasy. So that's what we're going to be going with. So now let's just go ahead and just teleport straight into the fight. And we're just going to be bringing Shadowheart with us because she is going to be essentially our haste battery. All right, so into the combat section, it looks like Shadowheart gets to go first. I think it's most important. So this is going to be counterspell probably. Yeah. And then we're just going to have to, that's fine. We're just going to cast haste on our character, and then Shadowheart should be fine as far as constitution saving throws. So let's go for this guy first, and let's kind of show off. Let me organize this really quick. Just make it really clear. All right, let's try to disarm him first. So we'll do Flick of the Wrist. I think this also is based off of your charisma. Could be wrong. We're going to check that at the very end, but let's keep some numbers in mind here. So Flick of the Wrist. So you can see that they succeeded their saving throw against the Flick of the Wrist, and we've gained Dirty Advantage. So now we have advantage, which is why it procced our sneak attack here. So 28 damage, that's pretty good. And then, so we used our sneak attack, now we just have our regular attack. We'll use Withering Cut, and now they're dead. So if they would have failed, if we would have disarmed them, I don't think we would have gotten Dirty Advantage. It doesn't really say that in the tooltip here. It just says flick your weapon at a target and possibly disarm them, gain advantage on your next attack. but I'm pretty sure if we did disarm them, we would have not gotten that advantage. But keep that in mind. We're going to try to test that, or we're going to take a look at it. And also take a look at the flick of the wrist, that dice check. It's 17. I'm pretty sure that is tied to charisma as well. So just keep that 17 in mind, because later on we'll try taking off birthright, which gives us +2 to our charisma, and we'll see if that number changes. But anyways, moving on, we still have one more action. We can go ahead and attack, or we can use Panic here. We'll just use it on the mage here and see what happens. And so we were successful. So basically now they have this disadvantage. So basically they have to attack us again. It's like a little bit like a compelled duel taunt ability. And you also can see that it did not the charm effect. Others who fail, I wonder if they had to fail it and then it rolls again to be charmed. Again, we'll keep using that ability and kind of see how it ticks. But let's just go ahead and let them have their turns. So something that rogues, like pure rogues, struggle with is the fact that they don't get extra attack like other martial characters. So that's a rough thing about going pure rogue and being like a frontline, like a melee character. So it's our turn again. Now let's go ahead and see if we can disarm some of them. You can tell, look at the damage between the sneak attack and the regular attack. So 16 to 56 there. But if we do a regular attack, it's only 10 to 20. So as always with every rogue, you really want to be getting these sneak attacks off. This is where all your damage essentially comes from. But we're going to go try to disarm him here. All right, so this time we actually they failed their saving throw, so they dropped their weapon, and we received dirty advantage. So that's really good. I'm going to do not react, and now must have advantage on the target. So this I think is a bug actually, because it says we've received the condition dirty advantage, which gain advantage on your next attack. Well, this would be our next attack, and we need advantage to use our sneak attack. So I think this is a bug. I think we should have advantage in being able to follow up with our sneak attack. So it seems like in the stress test at the moment, if they succeed their saving throw, the dirty advantage does go through to your character. But if they fail the saving throw, it doesn't look like we receive that advantage that we should be getting. So keep that in mind. So that is going to be something to look at when this goes live to see if this is functioning as like intended. But we'll just carry on here. We'll just try to kill basically. See, our dirty advantage went away. So, okay, yeah, I think that one's a bug. But again, this is a beta. It's not a final product. So we'll just end our turn because we really have nothing else to do with our resources. I really wish I'm going to go ahead and cast Sanctuary on her. Hopefully it doesn't get counterspelled. Nope. Okay, so she's safe and he'll stay hasted the entire time. But I kind of wish all rogues got that extra bonus action, at least something. Again, they just kind of suffer in the fact that they don't have that many moves that they can do like continually all on their own. And luckily this is why we bring Shadowheart, because she can just counterspell. I overkill on the counterspell there. I only need to use a level 3 counterspell, but she's not really doing anything over there. All right, and next up, let's go ahead and try. I'm just looking at some options we have. Let's just keep disarming this guy, and then maybe, so again, he failed his saving throw. We did not get that advantage that we should have gotten. And man, that really kills our damage potential. The fact that that's not proccing. So really, if you're playing like a beta playthrough and you have the stress test and you want to try out Swashbuckler, it might behoove you to actually have like 0 charisma so that they basically have a better chance at succeeding these saving throws, so you get that dirty advantage, because just the raw damage that we are missing out on, kind of rough. But also another way we can proc this. So you also can use this attack without advantage if there are no other combatants within 2 meters. So if it's just somebody all on their own, we can still use this. So we should really try to just kill this guy. So next turn, we'll be able to kill him and then show that off a little bit more. And let's try again, see if we can get that off. Nope, not going to give it to us. All right, so I dealt with him, and as you can see, nobody else is within 2 meters, and we have that. Now we can use the sneak attack. And this just does so much more damage. Yes, it's a lot of damage that we're missing out on. So at the moment, it's basically like, again, this is only for the beta, low charisma, and then basically just try to solo out targets to get that sneak attack damage. Yeah, you're going to do a shit ton of damage. This also works with ranged weapons. So I did bring 2 hand crossbows. So we'll kind of see how that works as well as far as damage. So we're just going to try to finish him off. Let's see if he can succeed this. No, I mean, he did succeed it, so that's not what we wanted. But a regular attack should just do the trick here. Just make sure he dies. He dies for good. And then, okay. So I think when I tried to use the range sneak attack and then I had the targets around me, it wouldn't proc. But now that I'm alone, she's alone, I can go ahead and use the range here. And that's a lot of range damage as well. I'm wondering if this would be better with a bow or a crossbow instead, because obviously if you're using one of those ranged weapons with two hands, they're gonna they do more damage than a single hand crossbow. So maybe that is the play there. Something like a crossbow with a rapier. That's what I think they're kind of leaning into here. But we still do a lot of damage. 30 damage. That's a lot from a single crossbow. I don't even have sharpshooter on, so that would also be something to consider as well as far as where to put your feats into. I counterspelled firebolt. Interesting. So I'm kind of seeing where this subclass kind of shines, but also where it doesn't shine. So I feel like it is still pretty rough as a martial class, but I wouldn't say it's completely useless. I mean, listen, Rogue before was still perfectly viable in those later, in the higher difficulties. It was just maybe just not as strong as other classes. And I'm thinking this maybe suffers a little bit still from that. But again, this is just the beta. I'm sure if all these things were working properly, this thing would be an absolute monster. You're going to get big numbers out of this. So let's go ahead and just finish up this fight so I can walk this puppy here. Oh, baby. She's looking at me. So we'll go ahead and just finish them off there. Easy peasy. Oh, and that's the fight. Okay, so let's check one thing before I need to walk my puppy. So like I said before, that number we are looking at for those saving throws. Let's see if I can find one real quick. Okay, so taking a look at the log here, 17 DC for flick of the wrist. So we're gonna see if that dice check, that 17, will change if I take off, say, Birthright. So let's go ahead and take that off. I think Shadowheart's gonna need a weapon, so we will grab her and we'll give her some keys. Now, give her a dagger, and then we'll use flick of the wrist on her. Go to the latest. Watch it, oaf! Thanks, Shadowheart. Let's see. So DC 16. So that is tied to your charisma. Like I said at the beginning of the video, dexterity, charisma, and then constitution or some wisdom, because for wisdom saving checks. But now you kind of get the point of basically where to put your ability points. Kind of the same ability spread as a bard as well, because they use charisma as well as their martial stat of choice. You can also go strength if you really want, but dexterity I feel like is more in the fantasy line. But anyways, that's the video. Remember, this is a beta. This is just an impressions. If you'd made it this far, thank you very much. Consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And I think the next subclass we'll check out is Hexblades. So I will see you then. Peace and take care.